All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is T. Koriat. I'm a project officer here at the Family Life Commission. And today we are joined by Crystal Johnson, our mental health clinician.
Hi,
Hi,
good
Crystal.
afternoon. Hi, Tay. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. So today our topic, we are going to dive in a bit on domestic violence and its relation to the men in our society.
Mhm.
So first off the bat, Crystal, I would like if you can just give me a brief um, description of what is domestic violence.
Um, so domestic violence is violence against any individual, child, or adult that is physical in nature. Specifically, they have different types of violence, but in regards to domestic violence, we're talking about mainly physical in nature.
Okay, all right. And what do you think is the main cause for domestic violence?
Well, that's a little tricky, I won't lie, because there's no one cause of domestic violence, right? Domestic violence could really be varied or individual, and it's very complex. And much of our research, even up to date, really states that domestic violence is much learned. So it's learned behavior. So, for example, you're thinking about children from a very young age who have witnessed domestic abuse growing up, and they're thinking that the physical and psychological violence are actually acceptable ways to solve conflict and to interact with another. Also, and children are also learning in the environment as well that there's gender differences and genders are inferior.
Mm,
So that may result in controlling behaviors later in life. So you're learning maybe as a boy that, women are less than, and you're learning that women are inferior. So that could be some of the reasons. But the need for the control is something that is very important in regards to domestic violence perpetrators. And again, there's so many factors relating to that. It's not just one. So you may hear again, being witness to and exposed to prior abuse in their lives. Um, sorry, bear with me. Other factors would include like less education, anger management, alcoholism, low self-esteem, insecurities themselves. Um, and maybe some personalities disorder that may pop up here and there. But yeah, it's not just a one fixed answer. It's complex. It's yeah, it's a multitude of factors.
okay. And sorry, you said
Both have a cost.
also learned yes. You said it's learned behavior. So would you say in some cases, maybe as a child, they would have been abused and a parent might say, "This, I'm doing this because I love you." Um,
Hmm.
that would relay later on in life when they become adults.
Yeah, yeah. Remember, they are modeling what they see.
Hmm.
So whatever is introduced, it's easily repeated because that's what they're learning as something that's normal in this household, right? Now, one thing to bear in mind, even though I'm listing all these traits and these factors, it still does not mean that having all these traits or some of these traits mean you're a perpetrator of abuse. So something to always understand that people should understand as well. This is just what research has come up with and a bit of a guideline in what we've seen in the profiles thus far in research.
Okay. All right. So throughout the years, the most common factor, um, or the norm that you might see in a domestic violence case is that the majority of the time the man is the perpetrator.
Hmm.
Why is this the case?
Um, um, well, I think men are usually the person of being a perpetrator because of how they express their anger or aggression. So men are more physical, right? Um, or even, well, I guess verbal as well, but it's more expressed aggressively. Where women, we we express indirectly our aggression, right? So we will focus on like the rumors, the spreading the rumors, really getting into the mind game of just um, trying to, let's say, damage somebody's social standing. We'll more go towards that. But for men, um, male aggression is always more physical. So there's a tendency to lean towards men being perpetrators because of that. And research has dabbled or tried to dabble with hormones of testosterone as well. But again, that's not definitive of a real reason. And of course, well, coming back to environmental factors of how we are raised, men, especially in masculine cultures. So we talk about masculinity as well, especially in our Caribbean culture as well. It's a global issue, so mind you. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of the cultures that globally, um, where the perpetrators is a lot of cultural factors like machismo, the machismo effect where, I'm the man, I'm this, I'm that. So again, the whole inferior gender inequality there playing out.
Okay. I would like to read a quote from Archbishop Gordon's book, Saint Joseph: A Pathway to Holy Caribbean Masculinity. And in this book, he speaks about the challenges of fatherhood, and he says, without a father, the young person spirals into addiction, self-absorption, anger, and the dark emotions.
Mhm.
How much of this you think plays a role in the development of these domestic violence traits?
Yeah, good question. We all know, though, fatherhood plays a very significant role in the lives of young children, both motherhood and fatherhood, but in this case, fatherhood. When it comes to masculinity specifically, um, men are the founders and I guess, the ones who will guide our boys and our young children in regards to knowing their boundaries and how to play in a early age. So I'll give you an example. What I mean is that boys and girls play differently, right? So it goes back to that. So when a dad is present, a father is present, they could help the boy gauge his own strength and give himself confidence at the same time and helping them with their boundaries and stuff like that, the friendly scuffle like you play with your son and whatnot. But when fathers are playing, even when their child is still in a safe and controlled environment. So that goes a long way because that helps them teach the children about appropriate boundaries in play, right? So they get to affirm the son's actions while teaching them at the same time, when understand your strength, you don't do this or you don't do that, and to understand themselves. So taking that out of the equation when no father is present to teach a boy or teach a child how to interact and to play and to know their boundaries, especially in physical activity, especially in expression of aggression or your anger, because anger is normal, but the expression of it, the lack thereof of that, then most likely a boy or a child or becoming a teen and a man, they will be driven out to go out there and prove themselves somehow. And influence will kick in, music could kick in, society is telling them whatever. So there's a likelihood where um, that could go down a road of without learning those founding um, aspects of how to be with my physical self. Um, yeah, they will find inaccurate information and inaccurate teachings outside. I mean, I would like to think that no one is really born abuser,
Yeah.
but something happens from boy to man, and if there's no one guiding and teaching, we are the teachers, to be fathers, mentors, role models, and just good men, then they won't have an understanding of that. And then they won't have an understanding what authentic masculinity really means.
Yeah. And I think also that would also affect the woman or the young girl as well, because she's growing up without that father figure in her life. She would not know how a man is really supposed to treat her. So
exactly. So vice versa. Yeah.
Without that, so when she gets into that relationship with a young man with all that experience as well, it just creates.
She's not going to have a guideline, her standard, set of values to live by. In regards to what my parents, my father teach me, I didn't have a model, somebody to show me. Or if there wasn't, even if there wasn't a father, but it weren't a lot of good men like uncles and grandfathers and stuff like that around to kind of counteract maybe that's a little bit. It's possible. Yes, you're correct. They will also not have, but just make decisions as well in relationships that could also lead them to getting into relationships without, proper love, authentic love.
Yeah. So my next question to you would be, how do we help men deal with anger and situations where they are pushed into that, push beyond their limits, where they might have to air out their frustrations, and anger is one of the ways in which they would.
Sure. Right. So I guess I think of it as a two-part answer in a sense. So I'll take the lighter point first. So I guess the immediate or the easiest thing in regards to immediate access to in regards to just dealing with aggression generally, right? We're not saying they're perpetrators or abusers as yet. We're just talking about just aggression and how to deal with aggression when you're being pushed. Basically, it's really simple things, but it's just things that you have. What I would consider it simple, maybe, but there are things that you could do every day around you. So just finding somebody to talk to, a trusted friend, a trusted brethren, to talk about what's happening with you, somebody to pull you up. I know we were talking about that too.
Yes.
Knowing that your body tends to give you signals when you are going to get angry. Any emotion, your body is going to give you a signal first, to be aware of the signals, whether your hands are getting clammy, you're starting to get fussy, your head is hurting, you're feeling your hands, grasping or gripping really tightly. That's the moment where you have to intervene and maybe distance yourself from the person, from the place, from whatever's triggering your anger. So it's a lot of being insightful and aware of what's happening with you. Remove yourself from the situation. Maybe find a brighter side, a humor in the situation. Not everything is one way. There's always another aspect of it. Importantly, especially if it's a physical aggression, it's always important. And I see this just generally to my clients, to have a physical outlet. It's so important because what may be going in the mind, you may be dealing it with your mind, but your body needs to release it as well. There's a lot of energy and emotions in here. So physical outlets is important. So taking a sweat with your partners during the week, going for a bike run up Chancellor, something challenging. What else we have? Praying. You could do praying. What's in that? Question. Praying, just doing stuff you like and enjoy that could kind of counteract what you're dealing with. So those are just some really simple remedies to deal with, right? The simple stuff. As I said, I was taking a lighter approach first. The second one is when you realize that your aggression is becoming something much more, something even probably you can't understand, is more noticeable. So that's when you will, I guess, consider getting some professional help, right? Individual therapy is always great, because you want to get to the root cause of your aggression, right? It's not just finding a coping mechanism. That's one aspect of it. But another aspect of it is understanding what's happening to me inside of me, right? Which therapy would help. Group therapy is also powerful as well. So even if you're not in an official group therapy, but maybe in an informal way, because I don't know if we have those services available here. I'm not positive. For men, meaning for men, but just your brethren come together. Your circle, your team of people that you consider your backbone. Maybe they could serve a bit of a to have that cathartic experience among men where
Yeah.
you could get some really good advice and resources. Um, but again, it's really understanding the source of it, and I guess trying to address that on a personal basis. But then as well, we have organizations of those on a national priority who could always chip in as well. But I see we kind of going on time.
Yeah.
So that's best. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of ties into my next question. Who can persons reach out to? Whether you might
Right.
be in a situation where you are a victim of domestic violence, or you're maybe a man who sees that as a problem and he wants to get that rectified. Who do you recommend, or what institutions can they probably reach out to?
Well, we have national organizations available. We have the clinics available, the normal clinics as well, that always have a psychiatrist and a psychologist present, maybe once a week, but that's free to the public. We have National Family Services, and they will all direct you to where you need to go if you need something specific. So those are very public. You do have the church as well. We do have counselors present, and if we are able, again, we will find the best way to refer you in regards to the males here in particular who do want to intervene. Um, so yeah, there are several organizations out there on a national level that you could free to walk in once you recognize what's happening. For the women, um, sorry, there are several organizations themselves, and I want to make sure I have the right numbers and pull it up for you as well. So, in regards to your safety and child protection and stuff like that, there's 1-800-SAVE, which is a domestic violence website, hotline, I'm sorry. There's also a website called TrinidadShelter.com, which I find very helpful because they have a list of contacts for you, again, free of service if you are ready to make that brave move of trying to leave a situation that is very difficult. And leaving is not easy just to leave, right? So when a woman decides she's ready and she's ready to fight a bit, I guess, for her worth, her family, and so forth, you have the shelters available on the website. The TrinidadShelter.com is pretty good. We have a rape crisis. We have child guidance clinic for the children, National Family Services. Sorry, Children's Authority. We have all those in place. We have legal aid, family court. This website has all the numbers for everybody. TrinidadShelter.com. And if somebody doesn't have internet or anything, I'll be more than happy to direct them to the appropriate organization and contact if they need. But Children's Authority is quite helpful as well. But the 1-800-SAVE for specifically domestic violence for women.
All right. And for those also who might be wondering, you can also reach out to us here at the Family Life Commission. We are located here at the Belmont Pastoral Campus here in Belmont. And you can also visit our website at familylife@catholictt.org, where you can get all the information that you may need. Any question that you may have, you can reach out to us, and you can follow us on social media as well. So we will be posting these places as well on our social media after this conversation, and you can share it with persons who you might know will need the support, or if you yourself might be in a situation like that. So we are always here ready to serve you.
Yeah,
Right.
and especially if people have questions about just the situation and they're not sure what to do, we'll be more than happy to guide you if you just want more information on domestic violence, period, and to find out what's going on in our country. Google it as well. Google has a lot of informative websites, UN, Women, the WHO. There's a couple local, regional as well that have some Caribbean statistics, and those were easily accessible as well if you would like more information on it.
All right, Crystal. So that brings to the end our conversation here on domestic violence and men. But this is not the end of our topic. This is going to be the first of many conversations we're going to be having throughout the year about this topic and other topics we will be touching as well. So we would like for you all to stay tuned and look out for more information on that. We are going to be trying to do this every week, once it's possible, so that we can engage, and we'll also be taking questions from you all as well.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you again, Crystal, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.
All right. So have a good day, everyone, and see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.